Perfect. Yeah, just let me know and I can kick us off.
Okay. Okay. Then share. I see it here. So, okay, I guess then I will make you presenter, and I apologize for the low attendance. I don't know what happened to our other members. Uh,
Well, since it's
No
being
worries.
recorded, they can watch the replay.
yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I thought I was making you the presenter. Uh, let me. Uh,
And after Ben gets that going, we'll have you give a short self-introduction.
all right. All right. I'll make you the host. That
I think
allow.
I have the rights to, I think it looks like I have the rights to share right
Okay.
now.
Then that. All right. Then go ahead and do
So that
that
would be
then.
good. Yeah. Let me just double check. Can you guys see it? It should look like my Chrome. Um, you guys see it?
I see an EV.energy
Yeah.
slide.
Perfect.
Get paid to charge when the sun is up.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Oh,
Yeah, I can quickly introduce
by the way, I
myself and
have
then I'll.
the app on my phone.
Okay, yes, yeah. So feel free to jump in whenever you guys have questions. It's not too long, but I'm gonna essentially be going over a bit of just EV energy quickly, and then I'll go into the program itself. But first, yeah, I want to introduce myself. I'm Nicole Politis. I've been working at EV Energy as a product engineer for the past 2 years, and previous to that, I was working at an EV charging solutions provider, specifically for multifamily and the built like commercial buildings as well. So I've been in the EV charging space for about 6 years. Um, and yeah, so I'm hoping to just kind of go through and really just talk about what EV Energy does first. And like I said, feel free to just interrupt if you guys have any questions. But basically what we do at EV Energy is essentially support our energy and utility customers by running EV charging programs. So, we worked with customers kind of all around North America and Europe as well. And we run and design programs that essentially reward drivers for making sure that they're charging when is the best time for the utility and for the grid. So obviously, there's a lot of value in the flexibility that EVs provide the grid. So what we do is we support utilities in running these programs and make sure that we're distributing that value back to the drivers who are essentially critical to making these programs work. Um, so just to kind of go over some of the utilities that we've worked with, um, we work with a lot of IOUs just kind of across the um, the US. We have a really big program with Con Edison in New York and kind of programs all across, and they look a little bit different. Some of them are similar to SunShift, which are essentially just like passive programs where we read driving data and incentivize drivers for charging at certain times. Some of them are a little bit more um, where we actually control and manage the charging ourselves. So we kind of support the utility with demand response events or just making sure that they're able to, we're charging it when it's the most beneficial for them. We also worked with a few CCAs in California. We actually did a pilot with Silicon Valley Clean Energy, but I don't think we have that live right now anymore. But we've done a few and still have a few CCA partners live right now. And then, yeah, we actually have over 300,000 assets in management. So we do as well solar as well as battery orchestration, not just EV charging. And then, yeah, we have over 55 programs live. So, or we've had over 55 programs. So that's a bit of overview of like just our background. And, ultimately, right, the driver experience is something that we are really striving to perfect and make better because at the end of the day, it's these drivers that make any of these programs valuable for utilities. So, really, our philosophy is to kind of have as many integrations as possible. So connect with that in as many cars as possible, connect with that as many chargers as possible, with as many devices, so that we can have as many drivers and end users in these programs, reaping the benefits of the programs, of course, but also so that's even more valuable to our utilities. And we also need to make sure that we're giving back control to the end user. So in programs where we actually have where we manage charging on behalf of drivers, we have to make sure that they are able to actually override any settings and feel confident that their car is being charged when they need it. So kind of going into like why we have this SunShift program, which I'm going to be talking more about later, is just that obviously in California, the grid is, we're lucky to have a lot of solar, but that also just means there's often a surplus in the middle of the day. What we're looking to do is, what utilities have expressed to us countless times, is how do we actually shift some of this charging to be in the middle of the day? And I mean, maybe it depends on your lifestyle, but most of the time I'm not home in the middle of the day. So it's hard for me to, really support the grid by charging then. So we're trying to figure out innovative ways to work with utilities to get an increase in uptake of that surplus that we're seeing. Um, and when we think about managed charging programs, the ones I described that we have with all these utilities, is typically they're serving people who are plugging in at home and plugging in overnight. And you'd think that there's these time of use rates that incentivize people to charge in the middle of the night. And that works well because there's like a long dwell time. There's a lot of time for us to be flexible when we're charging. And that's pretty valuable to utilities, but there's still a large portion of drivers who I lived in a condo for a very long time and didn't have access to reliable home charging, or people who charge predominantly away from home. They aren't being considered in this like flexibility equation. So one, they're not really reaping the benefits of some of these managed charging programs. They also aren't they're not one reaping the benefits, but there's a lot of flexibility that the utility is missing out on. So this idea of daytime public charging, where SunShift kind of came out from, is this idea that one, we can like leverage these drivers who are already charging away from home during the day potentially, but making sure that they're also getting the benefits of managed charging that they didn't get access to before. So, SunShift essentially is a program that pays you to charge at public charging stations when California solar is really just peaking. It's what we would call a passive or a read-only program, so there's no control of charging happening. All it is we read your when you're charging, and we incentivize you accordingly. So, really, what we're trying to do is absorb that solar surplus. Prove to our utilities in California that away from home charging, where we historically haven't managed it, can in theory be managed, and also make sure that we're reaching these drivers that haven't gotten access to the benefits of managed charging before. So, and equity is a big, driver for a lot of these utilities as well. So what the program looks like is pretty straightforward. You earn 20 cents a kilowatt hour by charging away from home or publicly for any session that you're doing between 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can earn up to a maximum of $15 a month. And it runs until the end of the year, and you get a sign-up bonus for just connecting your car. So most cars have the ability to actually, connect. As Jerry would probably point out, the data quality really depend on the car. That's kind of the nuances of these types of programs where all different hardware has different data quality that they're providing us. But really, it's pretty simple to get enrolled. Is you just sign up, you connect your EV, and then you charge, and then we pay you through PayPal or Venmo directly. So it's not through your utility. This is actually like a separate program that we're running to help demonstrate to our utility the value and the benefit that this can provide. So we're running EV.energy is running it entirely on our own. But yeah, like I said, really anyone in California can participate as long as you have a compatible electric vehicle, and that can be found on our website. And you just got to charge in California away from home. So it's pretty straightforward. Even if you don't end up charging away from home ever, it's just still good you can still read that $25 sign up bonus. And yeah, really, it's well targeted for people, especially in California. There's a large amount of people who don't charge at home consistently, and because the away from home charging network is pretty good, I would say, comparatively to some other parts of the states. So yeah, hopefully this can benefit th those people. And that's really it. So I just wanted to, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, by the way, for letting me speak about the program. And I'm just hoping that this is something that might be valuable to you or your community members, especially just like as, yeah, cost of charging kind of continues to increase. So there's ways to get money back. Yeah, that's everything. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But the website sunshift.ev.energy really has the overview of all the programs and compatibility and everything of that sort when signing up.
I have a question.
Hmm.
Um, does EV Energy have any plans to offer incentives to people who charge at home?
Yeah, so in your region, we don't currently have any programs specifically for home charging. We do, the flexibility market in California is interesting. I don't know how familiar you are with CAISO and all the different programs that the ISOs are providing, but there are some programs, but right now I don't know if we have any specifically live in that region for yeah, for at-home charging. But I mean, the idea and the hope is that we continue to we will. It's just yeah. So no, not right now is the short answer.
Thank you.
So I have a question.
Hmm.
Your program expires at the end of this year.
Yeah.
What kind of a feedback are you getting from utility companies about launching another program for the following year, or
Yeah.
demand from customers like me? You know, what feedback do you have about next year?
Yeah, so what we're looking to do is see how much shift we're actually like going to be able to achieve. Right, like we're able to baseline how much charging is actually being changed to be in the middle of the day. We're getting, feedback from customers just through surveys and interviews as well to see if the incentive model is beneficial to them. So the idea is we're working with utilities now to be able to um, see if this is like a meaningful way that we can actually shift energy in the middle of the day, as well as if people are willing to participate in this type of program. Utilities, they sometimes have to stand up these programs themselves and then kind of see if there's value there. So the idea is here is we're going to try to see if there's value there external from the utilities and bring it forth to them to show them that there is. Early, like, this has only been around for, I think it's only been live for almost 2 months. There's a lot of engagement. People are shifting their load from what I can see. Anecdotally, people have said that they are as well. So I think I'm seeing it's trending towards success. So it's just making sure that it makes economical sense for the utility is kind of the next step. Yeah.
I have another question.
Hmm.
You have members like me that are individuals, but what about companies that offer charging to their employees? Does that kind of get all lumped into one bucket, or you just see those as individual users?
Yeah, so right now the way that we're targeting this is like individual drivers. So if a driver were to charge at their workplace, they'll still be able to qualify for this rebate. Um, Workplace charging is interesting because of the way that the ownership of the actual energy or like who's dispensing the energy is a little bit more funky. So we're trying to find this is an extension of that of innovative ways of incentivizing workplace charging. So because in theory, if you're charging away from home, workplace charging might qualify. This is a way to do that. So right now we're just targeting individual drivers to actually pay them for their charging, not sites.
Well, near us, we have a huge Google complex, and I
Mhm.
believe they have over 1,000 chargers there. So I'm sure most of their employees are charging there. So
Yeah.
you might consider, talking to Google and say, hey, can we work out some sort of an arrangement here?
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Is
Awesome.
Lawrence online? Does he have any questions?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Let's see, can I hear you guys? I'm getting an echo. In any case, I think it's great that you have something that people who don't charge at home can use. I'm thinking about my partner who charges at work. She had a number of uh, EV charging stations put in for free by PG&E.
Hmm.
This echo is killing me. Here, let me get rid of.
You could consider typing your question in the chat.
No, I will try something else here.
Yeah, you can just turn down the volume on your speaker.
It says you're in here twice. I wonder if that's what it is.
Yeah, but the reason okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, we hear
Great.
you.
Okay. Yeah, well, now I can hardly hear you. But anyways, yeah, so she charges at work during the day, and this sounds like this will work well for her, and she can let her other coworkers know about it because the chargers at first, of course, there was I guess six of them, and she was the only user, but within a year, they're full up most of the time. People saw them and they came, which is great. These are employees at the school and resident fellows who live there at the school. So it's great that they now can be incentivized to charge during the day. So questions.
Awesome.
It's pretty clear how the program works, and I look forward to using it.
Awesome. Yeah. We do have a program with PG&E, I believe, that we're launching, or if it's not already live. But yeah, yeah. I can also send that over if there's any interest. I'll send a link to the program for that one.
What kind of
So
interest, what kind of interest are you getting from other EAA chapters besides the Silicon Valley?
Yeah, interestingly, not a whole lot. I did reach out, I think, to every single one in California. Um, but yeah, there was not a whole lot of appetite. Yeah.
Well, the one good thing about it is I've been to places where they want to charge like 60 cents a kilowatt hour. So knocking 20 cents off of that, it makes it a little easier to swallow.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I was just out in LA doing a kind of like in-person outreach, and it was just interesting. I thought how many people almost charge entirely away from home, um, and don't really have access to anything else. So they're paying a lot more than, what we would have to pay if we charged at home. So yeah, it's can be cost prohibitive too if you're not really, yeah, you lose some of the benefits if you have to charge all constantly away from home.
yeah, I wanted to throw something in there. We have a charger set up at home, but it takes about 15 or 20 minutes to roll out the cord and set it all up. And then also it'd mean charging overnight. Of course, we prefer to charge during the day because of the renewable energy is available, and we don't want to use the gas peaker plants or rely on nuclear base load or any of that ridiculous stuff. But it's cost twice as much to charge at work as it does at home for my partner. But the 20 cents now flips that on its head, and it'll be less expensive for her to charge at work than at home. So
Mhm.
that incentive is actually going to work for us, and we save the trouble of rolling out the cord and all that. And it's a bit
Yeah.
quicker to charge at work, but often she'll charge from maybe 10 to 4 or 5, and I guess you will have some way to know um, how much of that charge happened before 3 and incentivize her for that. I actually encourage her to charge less. She likes to charge 100%. And I say, yeah, just charge to 80% and do it more often. But there's the convenience factor. But maybe this economic incentive will further encourage her to, only charge to the 3 p.m. And maybe that's closer to 80% than 100. And
Yeah.
we'll get more longevity out of the battery in the end.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, usually the last 20% is the slowest. So the bulk of the charging occurs when you're getting to 80%, and then it tapers off pretty dramatically after that.
Isn't that mostly the case with fast charging, but not so much with level two charging?
Yeah, but I think this program, does it matter if you're doing level two or fast charging or it
No,
work?
it doesn't matter. It can be either.
Uh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the level two, it's less of a taper off than it is with the fast charging. But the fast charging happens so fast that, even if you wait that last 20%, it's not much more time.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it. Yeah, even just like hearing your feedback and your thoughts on it right now is really helpful. And maybe I'll be in touch later in how the program is going for you guys if you guys do end up participating, just to kind of get your thoughts and feedback on the incentive level, if it's actually affected like how you charge and um, yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything from the Sacramento chapter? Because they're a huge chapter.
No, I haven't, but maybe I'll try to ping them again.
Yeah, there's a guy there. His name is Guy Hall, and I can send him something personally. We're kind of buddies.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'd appreciate that introduction if you could. That'd be great. Yeah, if they're interested.
So, Nicole, I'm a little bit curious.
Mm.
Like I live in Palo Alto and we don't have time of use yet for residential people. We just got our smart meters, or maybe they're still rolling them out. Um, so as far as the utilities pay you to encourage people to charge when there's lots of cheap energy, but it seems like not all of the utilities actually have that rate structure for their customers yet. And I mean, is it pretty universal? Anyone who's willing to pay you is already on a time of use for residences.
No, sometimes what happens is like we'll have utilities who are trying to introduce like time of use rates, but obviously have to go through the whatever it is to actually be able to implement these rate changes. So then what it looks like is we'll roll out like these pilots that have are working inherently on the time of use rate, but they're like off bill credit. So we're providing you the incentive, through PayPal or Venmo so that they don't have to actually go through the whole process of a rate change. So that's kind of like, well, with PG&E, what we're doing is like um, this like hourly flex pricing that we're rolling out, but this is specifically for like anyone who drives an EV, not really for any energy user. But that's what we'll see some of our customers doing is actually going around having to implement rate changes and instead rolling out these programs. And then maybe that will feed back into rate changes as well.
So is that flex system kind of like a real-time pricing?
Yeah, this one for PG&E is like almost like a real-time pricing. So it works only on like people who charge at home because of the fact that um, it is dynamic. So we need longer dwell time in order for us to orchestrate charging properly. So that's why workplace and away from home is just such a can be a headache to manage because it's like we don't know when they're going to be plugged in.
And with the flex pricing, is
Mhm.
that on all of the consumption at the meter or only the stuff documented to be for EV charging?
Yeah, for EV charging.
So you need to have a separate meter or feedback from the charger or something.
Yeah, it usually comes from the vehicle. I mean, it can also come from the charger, but yeah, it's from the vehicle. Some like if it's Tesla, for example, we're able to see and read and write charge like we can start charging as well for the vehicle directly. Some vehicles don't have the ability for us to do that, so we have to go through the charger.
Well, so with the Bolt EV from 2019, which is our situation, does that
Yeah.
have access to your program?
I have to double check.
I
I
mean, it
don't
has
know the
this
compatibility
OnStar
off my,
with telematics. If you pay the money, it'll give you the car's state of
yeah.
charge. We don't pay the money, so we don't have that anymore, but I'm sure it still gets reported because they love data. And for a while, they were
Yeah,
selling
so
it to
that's
insurance
what's hard
companies.
about it is like if so for Bolt, yeah, you need the I think it's like Chevy OnStar or I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, if that doesn't unfortunately we don't get the data. If you guys aren't getting the data, we don't get it, even though they in theory have it. Um, so yeah, that's the tough part. And that's why we have to think about connecting maybe with an AMI data, right? Like, for us, what we're trying to do is like reach the customers in many points as possible, whether it's like the charger, the meter, the vehicle. So yeah, unfortunately, if you don't have one of those like compatible chargers or like a subscription for the Chevy, then it's hard to participate.
Well, how about the charge network itself? Of course, has an
Mhm.
app and knows when the charging started and when it ended and all that.
Yeah.
Can you connect with the either the app through the phone or through the app's back end through the company to get that
Yeah,
data?
so we are doing that. Is I guess like for home chargers, we have tons of different like any like smart home charger. We have lots of different connections with them. So, your charger might already be a like charge point chargers, for example, we support and we can read data from and control. But then in the commercial side, so this is where it gets like more complicated, like the public charging space. It's even like more kind of like a different type of hardware, but we are expanding our connections for public chargers as well. And yeah, which through the back end. So we connect through these chargers in the back office so that we're able to get the same data that they're showing to you.
So at this point, as far as the program you described earlier,
Hmm.
would it depend on the charge network that my partner uses, whether or not she could enroll in the program
For away from home charging, right now we're only doing telematics, unfortunately,
from the car?
um, because it's just more universal than connecting with every EV network. But in the future, we're looking to also connect. We've already connected with some commercial like grade chargers, but yeah, we need to continue to expand that. But we need utilities to be able to see a case for that as well. Um, but yeah, if you had like a smart home charger, that's when I was thinking about when I was referring to the smart home charger, that's more for the PG&E pilot.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, but it's kind of the battle that utilities and we face is like you have all these assets, but like how do we kind of tap into them to actually like unlock a lot of the flexibility and value that they have?
Right.
Yeah,
So as far as you're saying that even though the company gets the data, if we aren't paying for it and we can't see the data, then we can't give you permission to access it. Is that the way it works?
exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
I know. So it's like, come on, just give it to us. It's there anyways.
Because
But
the cost of OnStar would probably swamp the cost of the rebates.
I know, which is what we like, which is what we advocate to like our utilities and then push that back up to the regulators. And then it becomes a policy thing of like, is this fair that we're having this data that could actually be really valuable to like the grid, to the earth, to everything that we're just not letting it like that we're yeah, putting a paywall behind. But yeah.
I mean, from the base level, it seems to me utilities on one level. I was going to say that the utilities don't seem that interested in my mind to use renewables because they're really happy to get lots of money for building grid storage, and they're also really happy to maybe continue the gas peaker plant madness. Um, and now they're talking about building more nuclear and keeping old nuclear going longer at huge expense. And that's where they make their money, capital
Mm,
improvement projects. So
mm.
I'm a little surprised that they're at all cooperating unless it's just window dressing in this idea, trying to load shift and make things, more environmentally friendly.
Yeah. I think it really depends, right? Like we work with a lot of CCAs whose their mandates to use like clean renewable energy. So they have maybe a different um, mandate than some other utilities. But yeah, I know it's kind of this weird, sometimes conflicting, like even teams at utilities might have conflicting mandates, right? So we'll work with like EV charging program teams who's responsible for um, kind of like meeting the needs of what the regulator has set out. And it doesn't necessarily always mean that it ties directly into how utilities make money.
Yeah, funny thing
So
that.
like you're right. And it's something I think like I'm like I have to try to understand and balance as well. Just like in this industry, it's Yeah.
Well, I was going to mention in my own case, my Kia has an app, and that app will give me the current state of the vehicle. Although sometimes when it handshakes with the EV app, it's getting old information. So it says the car's not plugged in, and I've been already charging for 10 minutes. So I have to go in my app and refresh it, and then it'll click in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting though, because like connecting with we get a good insight into like who's kind of giving us the best data. But yeah, like I think the Kia Hyundai, it's something we've been working on better, but it's difficult because it's only like a matter of how much they share with us and their quality as well. Um, so yeah, it's definitely when you kind of send me that email, I was like, oh no, because this is something I see from other drivers across different programs. Yeah.
Well, that's the way these things evolve. You get complaints from people, and then you make a fix, and then something else comes up, but it's a job security for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, yes it is. Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing else, we can go ahead and stop the recording and then send out a link to the replay. Any other questions?
That's it. Thank you. Really appreciate your candidness with this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay.
Nicole. And I'll go ahead and ping Guy Hall in Sacramento and see if, at the very least, they could have you be a guest at one of their meetings.
For sure. I appreciate it. It was nice getting to know you guys. And yeah, I'll be in touch.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Thanks. You want to
All
stop the
right.
recording, Ben?